你好，那我想要问一下作者说，为什么当初他要决定以自费的方式，然后出版电子书？谢谢。
The the joy that I have with my writing career is I have always gone to the reader first. When I finish a book and it's been edited and it's perfect, or as close as I can get it, I can hit a button and the readers have the book within hours. And I don't have to wait for the print edition to get printed and delivered and then the ebook. So I love bookstores and I love publishers and I love everything involved with books, but I love readers the best. And so they come first to me. And my goal and my attitude is just to get them the ebook immediately. And then if publishers want to pick up the book, if they want to publish it in another country, if they want to translate it, readers are happy and they're reading while publishers are doing those things. So for me, it's just a matter of priorities. It's a great question.
就是我想请问一下，就是之前有这么多的那个书，像 Divergent 或是Maze Runner 或是Ender's Game 或是这之类的书，那你觉得在你的书里面，你自己个人的 opinion 是说，为什么这本书可以是这么大的一个 ，it's a big hit? Why is that? What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I think this is a question that comes up a lot because there's so many similar stories, and I think if you look at movies, it seems like all the disaster films came out at the same time. I think what happens is, in a way, we all are like one organism. The way all of our thoughts affect each other, and the way our environment and our economy affects us, and so. All of these stories have to do with worlds that are broken and trying to get justice and trying to get equality and trying to survive. And if you look at what's been happening at the time that these stories were written, I think it reflects on the society that we were in and the economic troubles that countries were in. What's interesting to me is that these stories appeal to people all over the world. I couldn't live more on the other side of the world from Taiwan than I do. It's just amazing to me that so far away people are finding the same things in this book that I found in it and that my wife found in it. So it speaks to the universal human nature and I think the times that we live in.
我想请问一下，他在写作的时候有没有遇过什么瓶颈，或他怎么解决？
It's hard to answer that without a big spoiler, but when I wrote the first book, the only thing that I wrote were these pages here, this first section. And that was the whole story. That was all I was going to write. Readers had a different idea in mind, and they started asking me to write more. When you read the first part of this book, you'll see that I had a challenge there. I can't tell you what it is without spoiling it. But I had to think long and hard. How am I going to make an entire, not just a novel, but an entire trilogy out of a short story? So that was my biggest challenge. I spent a lot of days daydreaming and writing and coming up with plot ideas and trying to figure out what is this entire series going to be about. The interesting thing is, I thank readers all the time. These books would not exist without readers. Writing reviews on Amazon and online and Goodreads and sending me emails saying, when's the rest of this coming out? So I credit readers with the demand that generated these novels.
可以请那个修豪一讲他在海上流浪的那个生活，每天做什么事情，看到哪些景色，跟什么人就是交谈，然后这对他的写作有什么帮助？
So before I met my wife and moved onto dry land, my first career was as a yacht captain, and I drove big motor yachts for very wealthy people. And it was an incredible career for a very young guy in my early 20s to travel all over the Caribbean and up and down the East Coast and South America, Central America. And to be so young and get to see so much of the world filled my head with the adventures that I now get to put into books. How many of you dream of maybe writing a novel one day? And maybe you can translate this.
有人想要尝试写作的吗？
So, one of the things that's really important for coming up with stories is not just knowing how to write, it's to have something to write about. And that's what my boating adventures did for me. It showed me different cultures. It got me in really bad situations where I was afraid for my life. And those are things that make it into my novels now. Most of the people I hung out with, I didn't get to hang out with rich and famous people. That was my boss. I got to hang out with the people I met on the docks and the people in restaurants and the locals. I lived in the Bahamas for a year on my own sailboat. And I think a lot of who I am today is because of those adventures. And what you write is largely who you are. So I can't imagine the novels that I would write had I not lived on the ocean for 8 years. It's such a huge part of me. It's a great question. Thank you very much.
那我想请问一下，就是因为现场应该也有很多是希望未来从事创作工作的同仁哈。那想知道针对于在创作的时候，因为需要不断的阅读，那一刚开始应该是会先模仿某一些他喜欢的作者。那我想知道在怎样在这个过程怎样不受到他人的影响而创作出属于自己的风格。对，那还有第二个问题是想知道您的书希望给所有在地球上的人什么样的一个影响？谢谢。
Thank you. These are great questions. These are two questions I've never had before, which is saying a lot because I've had a lot of questions over the years. I think the best way to find your voice is to write poetry. There's something about poetry that taps into a deeper rhythm, and it's hard to copy other poets. You really write more primal literature when you're just stringing words together in a beautiful way. And I wrote a lot of poetry when I was younger, and I found as a writer now that writing in a poetic style frees me up to not write like anyone else. I also find that it's important not to read in the genres that you're writing in. If you want to write science fiction, you've already read a lot of it as a fan. Now start reading something else. Read mystery novels so you know how to put a mystery into your science fiction novel. Read a romance novel so you know how to put love into your science fiction. And this will help you write a different style of book. You won't copy. So when I'm writing, I don't read anything similar to what I write. The message that I would like to get to people is how do we, and I think we do this anyway, as time goes on, we treat each other better and better. The world improves because we become more inclusive and more humane. And why does that happen? I think it happens because we ask each other to get better. We demand it. And with my writing, I like to write about making progress and warning people maybe what can happen if we don't improve. So that's, if I leave anything behind beyond entertaining readers, I would love for people to think, I want to be a better person because of the story that I just immersed myself in. Is this going to go on YouTube? Because that last answer was pretty good. And I can't remember what I said, but it sounded pretty good at the time.
如果你要把这个对谈的过程直接上传到 YouTube 的话，也可以，因为我觉得我刚刚的回答好像还蛮精彩的，可是我一讲完就忘记了，所以如果有人可以帮我上传的话，也还不错。
Send it to me, thanks.
接下来再换我问一个问题啊，就是大家知道有所谓的同人小说嘛，就是有一个有名的作者写了一个世界。那其他的他的粉丝可能就以这个世界为背景，在里面写故事啊，比如说《魔戒》有《哈利波特》或《暮光之城》。那有些作家呢，他是非常非常欢迎他的读者来进行这样的创作，但是也有作家是觉得说这都是我的东西，这是我的智慧财产权，你们谁都不要碰，你们要写自己去写自己独创的作品。比如说《冰与火之歌》的作者乔治·马丁就是强力的反对他读者来写他的同人小说，但是呢，修豪一是张开双臂欢迎。那他最近在忙的一个事情就是，他编了，应该不是他编的，就是有一群 作家写了以这个羊毛记为背景的同人小说，有10几篇故事，然后他们会把它合起来做成一个电子书来出版。那请他写了一个导读。对，那我也想要问问说，他为什么对同人小说有这样子比较开放的态度，还有他怎么看待同人小说
？Yeah, coincidentally, we have one of the fan fiction authors in the audience, W.J. Davies. It's also his birthday. I don't know. Can you translate this in real time? Can you stand
我
up?
们就有一位同人小说的作家 WJP 在现场，而且今天还是他的生日，他今天满28岁了。
So when authors like Wes got in touch and said, "Hey, I love your story," it made me think of something you could have done even better. I invited them, sure, write your story. I would love for you to get it out there. And I even told them they should charge money for it and try to gain their own readers and make my readers happy so they would leave me alone while I wrote the next book. Because I can only write so fast. And I'll spend 2 months writing a book, and a reader will read it in a day and email me the next day and say, when's the next one coming out? And you love having someone pick up the slack. And that's what the fan fiction authors do. They expand the world, they come up with new ideas and breathe new life into it. So we have now had dozens of people write fan fiction stories in this world. And some of them, I wasn't the one who collected them. They got together and said, hey, we'd love to create an anthology and we'll donate some of the proceeds to charity. And I'm just flattered by the whole process. I can't imagine saying no to readers who want to honor your world by coming up with their own stories.
我们知道《尘土记》已经是这个系列的结局了嘛？那刚刚也有听说有许多那个所谓的同人小说，那因为像是星舰迷航记或者是星际大战或者是艾希莫夫的基地系列，他们都有一个所谓官方证实的那个，把一些同人小说纳入官方证实的世界观里面。那不知道修豪医生是不是有那一个野心，然后想要让就是把自己这些同人小说，然后做成一个自己的官方的证实，然后在未来可能还有根据这个世界观之下推出你的新作品这样子，谢谢。
That's a great question. I would love to do that. I think the way that would work for me is I couldn't go through and read all of it, but as I start to read fan fiction, if I read it and it doesn't conflict with any plans that I have, and I think it works in the world, I could say, yeah, this one works. The only hesitation I would have is it would seem like I was playing favorites. Like it might seem, why did you take that world and not my world, and why won't you read mine? And I understand the desire to have equal treatment among everybody. I wish there was 10 of me so I could do all of that. But the challenge there would be that I would only be able to do a little bit, and would that be fair to everyone else? But I love the idea, and I think probably the best solution is for each reader to decide what is canon and what isn't. It's up to them. If they like the story and it fits in the world of their mind, then it's real. I do this with comic books. I read Batman comics, and they don't agree with each other. They tell 2 different stories. So I say, well, that story didn't happen, and this story is real. And I think every comic book reader has to do that. And maybe people who read fan fiction should do the same thing. And that way every world would be individual.
您好，欢迎您来我们台湾。我想问一个问题，就是看到我们台湾的读者，还有台湾的感觉怎么样？我想听听您的意见。对，就对我们台湾这么多的读者。
So this is an easy answer because I've had success in a lot of countries. I've been a bestseller in the U.S. and in the U.K. and in Germany. I've been #1 on some lists on Amazon, but there's never been a country where I've been the #1 book in the whole country, only in Taiwan. So you made my book #1. My answer is the Taiwan reader is #1.
非常谢谢大家，那我们再给他热烈的掌声。